Welcome to the Virtual Strategic Solutions Virtual Reality Simulation System. Accessing Legacy Dataset. Files loaded. Simulation ready. What came to be called Oasis was once just one of many mines scattered across the landscape of the United States before the Great War. The extensive network of caves beneath it was used as an impromptu shelter by the inhabitants of a nearby mining town from the bombs. As time passed, the sheltered rocky vale was stripped of mining equipment and other installations, with only a handful of artifacts surviving to the 23rd century. Sheltered by the rock formations in its northern surroundings, it gained a new lease on life in the 2240s to the 2250s, when Harold, a human turned into a mutant by the forced evolutionary virus, found himself overwhelmed by Bob, a tree sapling that had been growing on his head. Bob laid down roots in the area where Harold was forced to remain for decades. Gradually, as Bob grew to encompass Harold's body, the tree also began to bloom and sprout pods that then scatter fertilized seeds around the area when blown by the wind, during what the tree minders call the harvest month, generating new living trees and giving life anew to Oasis. As Harold's mutation progressed further, he became the unwilling heart of a genuine oasis in the desolate wastelands. Around 2257, a small cult formed under Birch, called the Tree Minders, with him as Tree Father, dedicated to the worship of Harold as the Great One. Birch saw in Harold not an unfortunate mutant condemned to live out his life as a tree, but a god rooted to the earth and infusing life where there was once only ruin. As more came to join Birch's group, he decided that the Tree Minders were to be Harold's last line of defense from those who would exploit or destroy him. In their dedication to preserving Oasis's beauty, the Tree Minders shun most forms of technology in favor of nature, blaming technological progress for all of humanity's misery. The cult's leadership is exercised by the Tree Father and the Leaf Mother, Birch and Laurel respectively, with an equal say in its affairs. As the settlement of Oasis grew and nature once again reappeared in the wasteland, the Tree Minders were forced to confront the reality of the wasteland's other hostile residents. Although they disdained technology, the Tree Minders were obligated to make limited use of firearms to remain on equal footing with their neighbors. Only select outsiders were permitted to live long enough to enter Oasis and meet the Tree Minders, though it was rare. Most are turned away. Some are killed when they try to gain entry by force, and others are shot on sight like raiders to preserve Oasis's solitude and safety. By 2277, the arrival of the Lone Wanderer marks the first time an outsider has been allowed to enter the inner veil of Oasis in years. In the rare occurrence of a visitor being granted privilege to enter the settlement, the Tree Minders ask that the new arrival drink sap in a ritual to purge them of all evil that might be inside, so that he may go unharmed, whereupon they are allowed to converse with the Great One after completing the ritual. Centuries after the bombs devastated the former capital of Washington, D.C., Oasis is one of the most fertile places in the wasteland, filled with lush vegetation, healthy leafy trees, and even birds and squirrels living within the sheltered forest. No other place in the capital wasteland is so teeming with life. Situated to the northwest of the clifftop shacks, in the northern part of the capital wasteland west of Old Olney, the Oasis is located inside a large rock formation where the gate to enter it is accessed via a narrow passage in its western face. The grove is a small part of Oasis that is surrounded on all sides by trees and cliffs. This area can only be accessed after the Lone Wanderer has taken part in the ritual. It is entered via a wooden gate that comes from the pavilion after it has been unlocked. In the middle, the talking tree, uniting Harold and Herbert Bob, can be found. To the southeast, a small radioactive pond can be found. If the Lone Wanderer dives in the pond, an easy-locked hidden underwater door can be seen, which leads to the damp cave. The damp cave is a cave that connects the grove with the sunken chambers. It is accessed via an easy-locked underwater door from a pond in the grove. Inside, there is a small contaminated lake with a few level-dependent mirelurks. There are several junk items floating on the water of the small lake and on the bottom of the small lake. Several skeletons can be found underwater. Tree Father Birch founded the Tree Minders. While the village is ostensibly a democratic commune, Birch acts as the group's spiritual and temporal leader. He is the Tree Father, a role similar to a high priest, and guides the cult in their communion with the god spirit Harold. Birch spends most of his time in the pavilion, sitting on his throne, occasionally eating and sleeping for a few hours at night. He also walks around Oasis, overseeing the village more directly. Born around 2217, Bloomseer Popler is the daughter of a healer. She took up her father's trade after studying his many books on trees, plants, and their medicinal properties. When she was 35, she heard rumors about Oasis and spent the next decade looking for it. When she finally discovered the site in 2262, she decided to join Tree Father Birch and Leaf Mother Laurel, taking the name Popler and becoming the third member of the nascent tree minders. While Birch was wary of letting her stay, Laurel convinced her husband otherwise, and Popler began studying the ways of the tree minders. Combining her medical expertise with the unique properties of the Oasis allowed her to develop many curatives together with the other founders, with the ceremony of purification being one of her most notable achievements and a source of much-needed amusement for Harold. In addition, she demonstrated a gift of foresight, becoming not just a healer, but also an oracle, the Bloom Seer. However, using this talent is taxing and she needs to rest for a full day between each attempt. Her main role is that of a healer and scholar. Over the course of 15 years, Popler refined her knowledge of Harold and Bob, harnessing the powers of Oasis for the benefit of its denizens and prospective recruits. Her knowledge of botany and medicine was instrumental in understanding the flora of Oasis and unlocking its potential, complete with the ability to formulate substances that can control the growth and spread of Bob. She also helped create the hoods that the tree minders wear. She is a keen observer, keeping stock of Oasis's condition, including irradiation of the waters below, and Bob's seed production during the annual harvest month. Her talents also have other benefits. She was able to bring a wounded Brotherhood outcast from the brink of death, using her talents and the plants of Oasis, with him abandoning his old flag and joining the tree minders as branch tender Linden. In terms of philosophy, she is closer to the Leaf Mother than the Tree Father. She believes that Harold and the Oasis are a gift not just for the tree minders, but the entire mankind, and as such should be allowed to grow freely. She doesn't ground her views in religion, but the simple realization that Oasis cannot remain a secret forever. Caravans have already spread rumors, and containing their spread would only allow ambitious groups to seize it by force and leverage its fertile environment for their own benefit. Accelerating Harold's spread, as Laurel proposes, would render the issue moot by making it both impossible to control and freely available to all. The disagreement and resulting tension between the leaders saddens Popler greatly, though she appreciates the fact that her position means she isn't obligated to pick between them. Before he arrived in Oasis, Branch Tender Cypress was a wasteland adventurer for many years, where he made use of a missile launcher for at least some time. During his time as an adventurer, he witnessed many horrors, which had a profound impact on him and turned his disposition against the wasteland. When he arrived in Oasis and discovered its serene beauty, he believed that he had found a holy place. Tree Father Birch of the Tree Minders allowed him to stay, and he eventually undertook the purification ceremony and met with the Great One in order to become a branch tender, one of Oasis's armed defenders. Birch then taught him everything he would need to know about Oasis and told him why it had to remain a secret. Birch's teachings, combined with the horrors he experienced in the wasteland, have led him to the belief that Oasis should be protected from the outside rather than shared with it. He is very dedicated to his role and will defend Oasis even to the death. Although Cypress is extremely loyal to Birch's ideals, he does not like that Birch and Leaf Mother Laurel constantly argue about whether to share Oasis's gift with the wasteland, as their arguments make the rest of the tree minders uncomfortable. However, as the respect of differing opinions is a core tenet of the tree minders, he doesn't have an issue with Laurel being aware of his feelings on the matter. When the lone wanderer arrives in Oasis, Cypress is welcoming towards them, provided that they don't do anything to offend the tree minders. If they decide to resolve Oasis's dilemma by siding with Birch, Cypress will gift them his old missile launcher and its 2 remaining missiles, hoping that it will help them on their wasteland journey. Prior to his arrival in Oasis, Linden was a member of the Brotherhood Outcasts and by extension was once a member of the Brotherhood of Steel. During a mission to scavenge technology, Lyndon's squad was set upon and attacked by Deathclaws, leaving the rest of the squad dead and Lyndon badly wounded. He was found by a trader caravan and taken to Oasis, where Bloomseer Popler of the Tree Minders saved his life and nursed him back to health. After he awoke, he felt that he owed a great debt to the group that had saved his life and decided to remain with them, leaving the outcast behind and becoming one of the settlement's guardians. He is somewhat hesitant to discuss his past, as some people might not appreciate the fact that he was once a Brotherhood outcast, but he can still be convinced to tell his story. Leaf Mother Laurel and Tree Father Birch have treated him like a son since his arrival, despite only knowing him for a short time, something that he is amazed by. Upon meeting the lone wanderer, Lyndon is friendly and welcoming towards them, but will become angry and frustrated if they decide to insult the Tree Minders. He can also provide the lone wanderer with information about the caves below Oasis, as he knows that the settlement is located near what used to be an old mining town, and that many people took shelter in the area's natural caves when the bombs fell. Lyndon is loyal to the ideals of Leaf Mother Laurel and fully believes in sharing Oasis's gifts with the rest of the capital wasteland. Although he does not necessarily believe that Harold is a god, he still realizes that the mutant is extremely special and something greater than any of the other creatures in the wasteland. If the lone wanderer decides to resolve the group's dilemma by applying Leaf Mother Laurel's liniment to Harold's heart in order to accelerate Oasis's growth, Lyndon will gift them his old suit of outcast power armor. The newest member of the Tree Minders, Maple, does not divulge many details about her past, but does note that she was drawn to Oasis by the calls of the Great One, and that in order to become a Tree Minder, she had to accept the teachings of Tree Father Birch and cast aside her dependence on technology. Since her arrival and induction into the group, she has served as a branch tender, one of Oasis's armed defenders, where she is the primary guard for the gate, only being relieved by her fellow branch tender Lyndon in order to eat and sleep. She also helped to create the garbs that all of the Tree Minders wear. Maple is fervently loyal to both Birch and Leaf Mother Laurel, to the point of being completely willingly subservient to them. However, she agrees with the ideals of Birch over those of Laurel, believing that Oasis should be protected and hidden from the wasteland rather than shared with it. She is extremely concerned that making the settlement's location known by attempting to share its gifts would expose it to attack and destruction. She believes that there is no greater being than the Great One and has dedicated her life to defending him and the Oasis from the outside. Upon their arrival in Oasis, Maple is the first Tree Minder that the lone wanderer meets alongside Birch. Provided that they do not offend Birch or the Tree Minders, Maple is open and welcoming towards them. However, if they offend the Tree Minders and are cast out, Maple will tell them that they are no longer welcome and that she has orders to shoot on sight if they return. If the lone wanderer decides to resolve Oasis's dilemma by siding with Birch, Maple will gift them a unique garb, but warns them not to disclose to anyone where it came from, as it could put the Oasis at risk. The wife of Tree Father Birch and fellow leader of the people of Oasis, Leaf Mother Laurel spends much of her day wandering around Oasis, tending the plants and flowers, and speaking with the people of the village with her daughter Sapling Yew, usually at her side or playing nearby. She believes it is her responsibility to tend to the spiritual and mental well-being of her fellow villagers. Not much else is known about Leaf Mother Laurel, other than her passion to let the whole capital wasteland experience Harold's gift, contrary to her husband's belief. Yew is the only child of the Oasis village leaders, Tree Father Birch and Leaf Mother Laurel. She does gardening with her mother and enjoys playing in the grove, climbing on and around the God Spirit and touching her bear charm. She is the closest thing to a friend Harold has, frankly because she is the only one of the Tree Minders that actually listens to him. When the player character approaches Oasis, Tree Father Birch will ask that they follow him, saying that he has summoned them. If agreed to, Birch will unlock the gate to the village and lead the player character to an outdoor hut. Birch explains that he is the leader of the Tree Minders and that he has summoned the player character to the village. Although vague about who or what he is, and wishing the player character to find out on their own, a speech check may be passed to discover what he is. The tree minders ask that the player character drink a sap in a ritual to purge them of all evil that might be inside, so that he may go unharmed. After the ritual, the lone wanderer is placed in the grove, where they meet Harold. Harold reveals his true identity and begs for mercy. After being stuck in the same position for decades, he is eager for death. The other dwellers of Oasis ask instead to either suppress or expand Harold Bob's fertility. To the left, after leaving the grove, an argument between Tree Father Birch and Leaf Mother Laurel is witnessed. Birch wishes to stop Harold's growth with a sap, the same one used in the ritual, in order to protect him, and Laurel wishes to apply a liniment that will accelerate it, to spread his influence to the entire wasteland. Both want the Wanderer to side with them, leaving the other's wishes ignored. This leaves 3 basic choices to go about this quest. Side with Birch and apply Birch's sap to Harold's heart to stop his growth. Side with Laurel and apply Laurel's liniment to Harold's heart to accelerate his growth. Side with Harold and destroy his heart, killing him in the process. Instead of these options, Harold may be burned down with a fire-based weapon such as the shish kebab or flamer. If this is done, negative karma will be received and all of Oasis will become hostile. After the argument, the rest of the tree minders, who are willing to talk at this point, will express their views on the situation. Any rewards are based on what is decided to do to Harold's heart and who is spoken with before entering the caves. Regardless of what the player character chooses to do to Harold's heart, speaking with Sapling Yu beforehand is recommended. If she is asked about her god, a speech check will become available, revealing Harold's fear of fire. If the speech check is passed, and the player character chooses not to burn Harold down to complete the quest, she will give them Yu's bear charm after completion of the quest. As an alternative, the Child at Heart perk can be used to guarantee success. Siding with Birch, speak with Branch Tender Maple before entering the caves and ask her about how she ended up in Oasis. She will tell about how she felt that she was chosen to come here and fears that outsiders will eventually find and ruin the Oasis. Speak with Branch Tender Cypress before entering the caves and ask him how he became a tree minder. He states how Birch took him in and told him how important it is to keep Oasis a secret from the outside. Siding with Laurel, speak with Bloomseer Poplar before entering the caves and ask her about her god. She will state her views about how Harold is not only her god, but everyone's god, and he should be shared with the entire wasteland. Speak with Branch Tender Linden before entering the caves and ask him how he ended up in Oasis. A speech check can be passed to get him to explain how he was once a Brotherhood outcast and was found injured by the tree minders. After being nursed back to health by Bloomseer Poplar herself, he decided to join them. Siding with Harold. There is no need to speak with anyone prior to entering the caves, with the exception of Sapling Yu. Burning Harold. As is stated above, Harold is afraid of fire and can be killed with almost any fire-based weapon. The flamer, heavy incinerator, plasma rifle, missile launcher, nuker grenade does not even have to detonate, just hit him. Plasma grenade, mini nuke or shish kebab will all work on him. Once on fire, he will roar loudly and shake violently until dead. This will cause a karma loss, and all of Oasis will immediately become hostile. The following weapons do not set Harold on fire: the fire lance, frag mines, plasma mines, and the burnmaster. Near the end of the sunken chambers, a thumping will be heard. This is the sound of Harold's heart. When reached and interacted with, the options mentioned before will present themselves to the player character. If the heart is destroyed, then the barkskin perk will immediately be obtained from being exposed to the radiation. This perk grants an inherent 5% damage resistance. A nearby door will lead into another cavern, which will lead back to the grove, where either Birch or Laurel will be waiting depending on the choice made. If the heart was destroyed, Birch will be there, expressing regret over not listening to Harold. If the sap or liniment was applied, Harold may be spoken to and will have some dialogue about the choice, where he regrets being selfish. At this point, the tree minders who supported the player character's decision will supply them with gifts. The tree minders may also be spoken to after this to get the dialogue about said choice. Note that Sapling Yu will give Yu's bear charm if the speech check was passed, regardless of the choice made. She is also the only one who will give a reward if the heart is destroyed. Simulation completed. Please exit the pod or have a technician select another file.